What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, Shakur Stevenson, undefeated, 3-division world champion, Olympic silver medalist, former unified super featherweight WBC, WBO world champion, now the reigning WBC lightweight world champion, superstar boxer. He had a lackluster performance this past Thursday, November 16th, as he took on Dominican lightweight star title contender Edwin De Los Santos. And Shakur Stevenson, in defense of himself, trying to defend himself and trying to clarify his name, right? Trying to clear his name, rather. Shakur Stevenson, because of the performance in defense of himself, Shakur Stevenson is not doing himself any services, any justices, right? Shakur Stevenson is telling the world that his performance against Edwin De Los Santos, who is now 16 wins, 2 losses, no draws, 14 wins by way of knockout. Edwin De Los Santos is 24 years of age, 5'8", with a 68-inch arm reach. Edwin De Los Santos is a southpaw who was aggressive, who was athletic, who was strong, right? And he's known to have power. Now, here's the thing, Shakur Stevenson, in defense of himself in that performance, he was very, very defensive-minded, okay? He was very, very cautious, and he did not want to engage. So Shakur Stevenson, in defense of himself, stated that he was sick. He didn't feel well. And we saw that he had a left hand injury, right, going into the fight. Now, Shakur Stevenson, he reached out to his significant other and told her before the fight that he didn't feel well, right? And that if he had to, he was going to dig deep, but he was just going to utilize his legs to get the victory, which means that Shakur Stevenson was planning on, this was already predetermined, right? He predetermined that he wasn't going to engage with Edwin De Los Santos because he didn't feel well, right? He didn't feel 100% of himself. So he released these text messages that, you know, he sent to his girlfriend and told his girlfriend that he didn't feel well, he wasn't feeling 100% himself, and he wasn't going to engage. He was just trying to get the dub, right? He was just trying to get the win, right? And, you know, so with that said, then Shakur Stevenson, that backfired, because you already told us that you wasn't going to engage now, but you knew that you didn't feel well going into the fight. And then we saw the photos released of Shakur Stevenson left knuckle and his middle finger, and his left knuckle was extremely swollen, right? So his hand was definitely hurt, injured going into the fight. And then Shakur Stevenson is saying that, you know, his hand was injured. Edwin De Los Santos, he also stated that if I was scared, and Edwin De Los Santos was scared too. He used the word too, saying that he was scared too. So he didn't want to engage, saying that, well, if you're going to blame me for being scared, you got to blame Edwin De Los Santos for being scared. That don't bode well for Shakur Stevenson, right? And now Shakur Stevenson is going back and forth with father, trainer, manager, CEO of DHB, Devin Haney Promotions, Bill Haney, who's the father of undefeated, undisputed lightweight world champion, well, former undisputed, because now Shakur Stevenson is the WB champion, and now junior welterweight title contender, Devin the Dream Haney. And they was negotiating, they had soft negotiations for a possible showdown after Devin Haney beat Vasil Lomachenko, and it didn't come to fruition because Shakur Stevenson wasn't willing to take 25%. Devin Haney wasn't willing to give more than 25%. Devin Haney ended up moving up to junior welterweight, and now he's going to challenge Regis Ruru Prograis, who's the WBC lightweight champion, junior welterweight champion, to become a world champion in 2 different weight classes. And then going back and forth with Bill Haney, they again released the messages. So now Shakur Stevenson is saying that he will bet Bill Haney $1 million right now, and he's willing to spar Devin Haney right now, but he got an injured hand and wasn't feeling well. Okay, so you got an injured hand, you wasn't feeling well. How could you possibly spar Devin the Dream Haney right now? Shakur Stevenson just needs to relax. He needs to just fall back, you know, stop trying to prove yourself, stop trying to defend yourself publicly, because Shakur Stevenson at this point in time is only making it worse. He's only making matters worse. the fact that you didn't engage in the fight with Edwin De Los Santos. We know your left hand. We can see visual proof that your hand was injured going into the Edwin De Los Santos fight. So we can see that visual proof. But then you also already had it premeditated that you was going to not engage with Edwin De Los Santos because you didn't feel well, right? So, okay, now people are saying, well, how do I know if you felt well or not? You already predetermined that you did not want to engage. And then you said that, essentially, you're saying that you were scared too. You're admitting that you were scared, saying, well, if I was scared, then you got to admit Edwin De Los Santos was scared. He landed a total of 65 punches in his fight, 46 of which were jabs. Okay, so he wasn't looking to engage. And there was times where he did use the left hand. And now the audio proof of him in his corner with his trainer grandfather in Wally Mosley is saying that the left hand is fine, and he's urging Shakur Stevenson to use the left hand. And Shakur Stevenson is saying the opening is just not there. So we see the hand injury, but you're saying the opening is just not there. Shakur Stevenson is not doing himself any services, any justice by continuing to try to defend himself. He's actually digging himself in a deeper hole, right? The more he tries to defend himself. It was a lackluster performance. It didn't live up to what the expectation was. The people thought that you was going to go in there and engage, especially based off of the last three or four performances, right? So I know Shakur Stevenson you're saying that, you know, well, these last performances since the Nakatilia fight. See, we saw examples of Shakur Stevenson being overly defensive and not letting his hands go in the Nakatilia fight. That was in 2021, right? So we saw examples of this. And now you fought after that. He fought Jamel Herring, to which you made Jamel Herring, you stopped Jamel Herring. Then you fought Oscar Valdez. Then you fought Robson Casacio and Yoshino, and you got to stop this over Yoshino. And you fought in the pocket in those fights. And and your claim to fame is, Shakur's claim to fame is that, well, I gave you 4 exciting fights, and now I have 1 lackluster performance. But as you go, the trajectory of career, every outing, every fight is supposed to get better and better and better. And so when you don't have this performance consistently, your next fight is supposed to be an even better fight than your last fight, because it's supposed to go up in level of competition. The fight is supposed to get bigger and bigger and bigger as you progress in your career. So yes, you fought in the pocket those 4 fights. And yes, you did have a hand injury going into this fight. But the fact that you are letting the world know that you predetermined that you was already going to not engage with Edwin De Los Santos because you didn't feel well, and then said if you had to dig deep, you would dig deep. That don't go over well. It don't go well. Point blank and period. So now you're saying that you're willing to spar Devin Haney, and you're willing to bet $1 million that you watch Devin Haney in this sparring session. But again, like I said, if your hand is injured and you didn't feel well and you're just looking to recover, well then how could you possibly go into a camp right now and spar Devin Haney right now? So it's just making matters worse. It's just making a situation where people already have they already have their own idea of how you're gonna fight. It's already, people already saying that, you know, we got these 2 examples. If the Nakatilia fight never happened, and we never had that example of the Nakatilia fight, then that would be one thing. But the fact that we have the example of the Nakatilia fight, and now the Edwin De Los Santos fight, people are starting to say it's becoming a pattern. And the fact that Shakur Stevenson is trying to defend himself, you're only making matters worse. Just let it be, let it lie, move on to the next, focus on the next. And another thing is that not seeing Shakur Stevenson in the ring with a athletic, aggressive, quick athlete like Edwin De Los Santos, who has a ring IQ and a boxing ability, many people feel like that exposed Shakur Stevenson as well, or he's not comfortable with dealing with that type of style of a fighter. So you have an opportunity. If you're Shakur Stevenson now, you have the opportunity to rectify it. You can rematch Edwin De Los Santos. You can fight Frank Martin, who's undefeated, who's athletic and explosive, that has power. Or hopefully you get the Lomachenko fight. But the Vasyl Lomachenko fight is simply not going to do Shakur Stevenson any justice, because people already deemed Lomachenko past it. He's already washed up. If Lomachenko wasn't himself and was old and past it when he fought Devin Haney, then how could he possibly be a young, fresh, hungry fighter if he fights Shakur Stevenson after he fights Devin Haney? So, washing Lomachenko. Now, Devin Haney had a tough fight with Lomachenko. Teofimo had a tough fight with Lomachenko. Shakur Stevenson said that when Lomachenko fought Teofimo Lopez, he was nervous, he was scared. Well, you have two examples on record with the Nakatilli fight and Edwin De Los Santos. It's not bowling well. So Lomachenko was competitive against Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney. If he could go in there and stop him, that would be great. If Shakur Stevenson could go in the ring and stop Vasyl Lomachenko and make a statement, that would erase, you know, the stain that he has on his name right now, the stench. Or he fight Frank Martin and clearly dominate Frank Martin, or rematch Edwin De Los Santos, period. But Shakur Stevenson, you gotta stop trying to defend yourself, because you're only making matters worse. You only make it look worse. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button, drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. That's all I got for y'all. I'm gone. Peace.